All right, here we go. I'm gonna try for the first time ever to do a sort of live little show here. So hopefully this goes well. I hope people enjoy it. And we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens. If you're joining, yellow are times where we have kind of a an interactive spot where I'm going to be asking for some interaction from the audience. Blue is a spot where I have a deep dive, and we're gonna see what happens here. So gonna just get this all going, figuring out how to do all this. This is all very new to me, so but welcome everybody. Okay, so let's get this set up and let's get started. Awesome. So, you're not aware, DHS shutdown is kind of a pointless joke. Why is my shirt so unbuttoned? It's not that kind of live stream, okay? This is not that kind of show, all right? I don't do that kind of stuff. Um, so so welcome. So DHS is shut down, as you may or may not be aware of, and that shutdown is totally pointless. There's nothing that's going to happen. They're doing it to obviously protest ICE funding, but ICE is already funded. ICE is good. So the Democrats have shut down. I don't get the hate on ICE. I do get the hate on ICE, but I just don't see the point in this shutdown before, right? Like so Democrats are refusing to shut this down, or sorry, refusing to fund. They're refusing to fund this just so we can get some what I think are pretty common sense. Oh, my hair's messed up. Some pretty common sense things set up in the government, right? So we're trying to get it so agents can't be masked and they have to identify themselves. That makes sense, right? So that's what the Democrats are fighting for. They're fighting for federal agents to not be masked, unidentified, and just not following the Constitution. That being said, they're not going to solve anything. Can't find someone to explain it. Okay, hit me. R21. So the issue with ICE that people have, myself included, is that they are masked. They're not identifying themselves, and they are not following constitutional orders. Right. So they're breaking into homes without warrants. They are taking people and holding them for extended periods of time. They're not giving them access to their attorneys. They're not even telling them what they're being held for. They're not following judges' orders, right? A judge is specifically saying, hey, you need to release this person. And ICE is saying, nope. No, Jesus is not my savior personally, but if it's your savior, I love that and respect that. And I'm very happy for you. Um, so that's the issue, right? That's the issue with what ICE is doing. I think most people don't have a problem with removing criminal aliens from our country. Criminal undocumented immigrants. I think most people don't have a problem with that. I think 99% of people are like, hey, if you're a criminal, you're committing crimes, and you're here in our country illegally, get out. I don't think anybody has a problem. Very few people have a problem with that. It starts being gray when it's, hey, you've been in our country and you are undocumented, but you've been a productive member of society for 20 years. Now let's throw you in the gulag. You can sit there for 3 months until we ship you to a country. That's getting gray, right? Is it legal or not? That's a gray issue, right? The black and white issue is when they're taking American citizens and throwing them in prison for weeks at a time against judges' orders. That's the problem, right? So that's the issue with DHS right now. DHS, the shutdown that's happening right now really just means that we who had more deported, Trump or Obama? Probably Obama, I would think at this point. So far, I would think Obama has had more deported. But again, we're not talking about Obama, and nor am I saying we shouldn't be deporting undocumented immigrants. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we have laws in place, right? You cannot be a masked, militarized group of people breaking down doors without warrants, and ripping people from their homes. You can't. That's not America. Okay, we can't do that. You can't be shooting tear gas into cars, with kids in it just because they're driving home from basketball practice, right? That's not. Those aren't things we can be doing. Yes. Do I think local police should do more to notify ICE when they have criminal undocumented immigrants in custody? Yes, I think they should. I think most people agree that if you're in this country committing crimes, we want you out. I don't think many people disagree with that. Right. So that's what the DHS shutdown is about, right? Democrats are refusing to fund DHS because they want them to not wear masks, to wear body cameras, to identify themselves, and to follow judicial procedures, meaning you can't break down somebody's door without a warrant. That's what they want. I don't think that is crazy. I don't think that's crazy to me. Not to vote, they don't vote, and actually that's number 9 is the save act. We're getting there. They don't vote in federal elections. Yeah. Yeah, 75%. And exactly, puppy daddy, that's exactly the issue, is that 75% of people being deported do not have a criminal record. Which is interesting, right. That's the interesting part, is that's where it gets gray, right? So the black and white, I think everybody agrees, if you're committing crimes in this country, get out. We don't want you here. If you've been here for 20 years and you've been a productive member of society for 20 years, and you've been paying taxes for 20 years, you're not, and you are undocumented, so you don't get Social Security, even though there's some right wing people out there that say, they're getting Social Security. They're not. Right. You don't get Social Security. You don't get the benefits. You get some. You get some. You don't get all the benefits of all of us who have been, also been paying taxes for 20 years. It's tricky. I think the real issue, the other big, I think the two things that we can all agree on. Number one, if you're in this country and you're committing crimes and you're an undocumented immigrant, get out. I think we can all agree on that. And thing number two, I think we can all agree on, is if you are a US citizen, and you do not get to be detained by ICE, you do not get to get thrown in prison by ICE and sit in prison for weeks at a time, right? Against judges' orders. Those are the two things we can agree on, because ICE has arrested people who were even born in the United States, who have a birth certificate that they were born in the United States, and ICE is still arresting them and keeping them for weeks at a time. That's a problem. If you don't think that's a problem, then you would fit in great in some really authoritarian governments we've seen in the past. That's a problem. So the SAVE Act is an illegal poll tax. I also believe that. Minty. That's number 9. We're only on number 1. Okay, let's move on. Let's get to number 2. We can come back if we need to. Number 2, the ICE is leaving Minnesota for the most part. Where's your proof of what? Hit me with what you mean. I'm gonna keep talking, but hit me with what you mean. So ICE is leaving Minnesota. They arrested 1 billion people. Obviously not 1 billion people. They arrested a lot of people. They murdered multiple people, and now they're leaving. I think time will tell. What the full extent of the damage is there for ICE. What ICE did to the Twin Cities there. People say Tri-Cities. I live in Washington, and we have the Tri-Cities. ICE is holding citizens for weeks. Oh, you want? Okay, I actually do have evidence on that. I've made videos on that. I don't have something I can hold up and show you right now, but it absolutely has been the case, and judges have even ordered it, that release this person. They're a U.S. citizen, and they've taken weeks to do it. You can Google that again. Number 10 on my list is Q&A fact checking. I have my computer right here. We can pull stuff up, and do it, and look up all that stuff if that's something you want to do. No TikTok. I do not want to spend $44 to this is TikTok is always trying to make money. They want me to spend $44 right now to get more people to come view the live. You don't want to view the live, don't view the live. Okay, I'm not spending money. So yeah, so they're all leaving. We'll see where they go next. I think I think time will tell if that was an effective use of time and blood to go into Minnesota or not. Obviously, there's some corruption and some waste, fraud, and abuse going on in Minnesota. Is that all based on obstructing federal law enforcement is a crime? 100% it is. I don't think anybody would agree on that. I disagree on that. I think what the disagreement is where does something become obstructing federal law enforcement? Right, that does get gray. Is standing on the sidewalk, holding a sign obstructing federal law enforcement? I think everybody would say no. Is blowing a whistle when you see federal law enforcement coming obstructing? Some people would maybe say yes, some people would say no, right? So there's a big spectrum there. And that's why we have juries, right? That's why we have courts. And that's why we don't murder people in the streets, right? That's why we arrest them and they get to see a trial. Okay, so they're leaving. We'll see how that ends up if they're going somewhere else. I don't know. Number three, oh my gosh, Pam Bondi in front of the congressional hearing. If yes, they did. Hold it. That's one of them. Her name's Dolce something. I forget. I'm sorry. I can't know everything at the top of a hat. But yeah, so Pam Bondi man, if you think that Pam Bondi did a good job, um, boy, oh boy, I would love to hear about that. Right, that was a disaster. That was a disaster. Pam Bondi in front of the congressional hearing, um, absolute mess. I just screaming. She literally just had a book of insults, some personal and some professional, of everybody in there. And all she did is whenever a Democrat was given the mic and asked her a question, she would flip to their page, open up to their page, and just start hurling personal insults at a person. That was a wild, right? We're on number three here, Bondi inquiry. It's orange, which means I'd love to hear from people on it. If anybody has anything to say, if anybody has any opinions on it, if anybody wants to pop on the live and talk about it with me, that would be great too. That was a disaster. We cannot normalize when somebody is called in front of Congress, um, and they're asked a direct question, and their response is to talk shit about a person, right? We can't normalize that, right? So hey, we see she didn't even answer is the thing, right? Like she didn't even answer Villa, I can't, it's hard to see sometimes, right? She didn't even answer. It was like, hey, why this person said they loved that little girl, right? Why did you redact who that was from? And she would be like, the Dow was at 50,000. Like, what does that even have to do? Why is nobody talking about Donald Trump? Like, let's actually, we are trying to talk about Donald Trump, but whenever we want to talk about the things he did with children, you talk about the Dow, right? So it was an interesting, it was an interesting thing, right? Where no, so we have the Clintons. The Clintons are going to be about 2 weeks now. They're going to be a week and a half. They're going to be in front of Congress. Oddly enough, Republicans want that to be a closed door session, which is weird. Right? The Republicans want the Clintons in front of Congress, but they want it to be closed door, which is very, very weird for being the most transparent administration in the history of the United States. They want the former president and then the former first lady and secretary of state to have this inquest behind closed doors. The Clintons are obviously saying no. Let's Exactly. And lie when it's over. That's exactly what they want, right? It's like, no. And so Bill Clinton's like, no, let's do it. Bring in the cameras. Let's have this conversation. So that's a weird hypocrisy. I think we can all agree. It's a weird hypocrisy going on there. We'll see what they have to say. But just imagine, right? Just imagine Jim Jordan, asks Clinton, Mr. President Clinton, I see you were in a hot tub with some girls in the Epstein files. Would you like to explain why you were in a hot tub with girls in the Epstein files? And he came back with he rifled through his little book and opened it up and says, um, Mr. Jordan, I see that you've actually been accused of gang graping a gentleman when you were in high school. So would you like to explain that? Can you imagine the freak out that the right wing news would have? The right wing news would lose. He won't answer a question. It's like they blow their freaking top. Um, and so it's just crazy, right? Like, no, you're asked a question by Congress. You should do your best to answer that question. Or you can do like Ms. Maxwell and say, I'm not going to answer any question, but Trump, if you give me a pardon, I can prove that you were innocent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on. Could it be any more disgusting than that? Right. I mean, already we know she already has some under the table deal going on because she was moved to some summer camp she's not legally allowed to be in. Right. Trump's admin goes and meets with her with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. She says, nope, Trump is innocent. And then she moves to this minimum security summer camp she's not legally allowed to be in. So clearly there's some kind of under deal going. Okay. We can come back if people have uh, she was never even arrested. Woo, we're getting deep. We're getting okay. So is she off living on an island somewhere with Jeffrey? Are they still together? Is that the thought? The conspiracy theories run wild, and we're living in a crazy world where 5 years ago I would laugh at conspiracy theories, but today I'm like, you know what? The crazy stuff that's been going on lately, I might actually believe it. So EPA pivot, if you weren't aware, the EPA has come out and said global warming doesn't exist. We're good. We're not going to monitor greenhouse gases anymore. We're not going to do any of that. Um, it's an interesting choice. Um, wouldn't have gone to, yeah, that's true. Yeah, 2020. We'll see. I mean, I think it's her. We can't. Okay, is Joe Biden a robot? Right? Because I've also seen that like global warming is just a money hoax. It's not. Again, we live in this black and white world where the world isn't black and white, but we want it to be black and white, right? And it's not. So global warming is real. It's that our world is heating up. You can't deny that. Greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane increase the rate at which it heats up. That these are undeniable, right? We can't argue these things. The question is how much has human activity played into that? And I think most people would agree quite a bit. Um, my man Splats has joined. He wants to drop in real quick. Happy to always hear from him. And that's the question, right? Is how much has human activity played a role in that, and how much can human activity prevent that from happening more? Um, but the EPA just saying nope, no more global warming is scary. I think. Um, what's up, Splats? You got something you want to bring up or add to the conversation?
Yeah, sure. So, we've got these things called satellites, and they show us weather patterns, and then we've got mathematical models, et cetera, ad nauseum. But there's a lot of science. Some very, very smart people have looked at climate change. We don't call it global warming anymore because of this thing called the greenhouse effect. The hotter things get, the colder they get at the same time because it's like a seesaw, right? If you press down hard on this side, the other side also wants to get pressed down just as hard. So you've got extreme cold in some places and extreme heat, and they're joined at the hip, right? Because the planet is like that. Long story short, um, back in the 90s, we were already talking about climate change, and the experts put it at 4 degrees. At 4 degrees, we basically create a runaway effect where we can't recover the planet. It's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to land wherever it decides to land, and we're the ones who are going to get screwed. You know, there are creatures, extremophiles that live near volcanic vents, and they're going to do just fine. We humans, we're going to get screwed because we need our crops, we need our homes, we need to not get blown away by massive hurricanes, etc. So at 4 degrees, we're screwed, right? That's the key sticking point. Now, the thing about the 4 degrees is they were like, we still have time because that 4 degrees is going to take a few thousand years. But we can approach a lot faster if we don't change our ways. The thing about that is they were looking only at nature and only at us. Now we don't have the data. All right. Now this next part is going to be speculation, but I live along the Ring of Fire,
Me
right?
too.
California lives around the Ring of Fire. Japan, right? All these earthquakes, all these volcanoes, some of them are super volcanoes. One of eight, minimum, eight super volcanoes. Any one of those pops their top, and they could be literally a world ender. So nobody has the data to figure out what it's going to take for a volcano to pop its top. Now, let's say that instead of 4 degrees, we only need 1 degree to activate the Ring of Fire. If that's true, and we don't have the data because it's too complicated, if that were true, if we only need 1 degree to activate the Ring of Fire, then we go from 1 to 10 automatically, because Ring of Fire has more than enough energy and potential to wipe us. It's got more than enough potential to change the temperature of the planet by a lot more than 4 degrees. So basically what I'm saying is, because we don't understand the planet, because we don't respect the planet, we can actually skip the 2nd degree to the 4th degree. We can skip right past it, shoot right past it by just warming the planet by 1 degree. And basically what I'm saying is we should have been a lot more careful. We should have been a lot more respectful. And the fact that you still have people out there who could not be bothered to give a damn because they've never farmed a single potato in their life don't understand that we have basic problems like water consumption and topsoil erosion. We live like in Camelot, and because we're stuck paying bills, we don't understand that we are some of the most privileged MNFers in the history of the world. But
Oh
that can
yeah.
all disappear overnight. So yeah, respect the goddamn planet and start supporting legislation that takes into account global warming. Because when it's too late, it's gonna be really damn too late, very quickly.
Yeah, and I do believe that necessity is the mother of all, invention, and I do feel like, um, I guess I have hope that it is going to get to a point where it looks like it is done, and then we kind of figure out a way to deal with it. Yeah, and so what everybody's talking. So I'm a chemistry physics dual major. I have a little bit of experience in the sciences, right? And people are talking about, because this is what the climate has done for the people are talking about Precambrian era, right? That's what the climate has done for forever, right? It gets hot, and then it gets ice age, and then it gets hot, and then that's normal. The issue is there are things we can do to slow the up, because right now we came out of an ice age, right? And we're going up again, and we would like to slow that down, because when we start getting up to the top again, humans are going to have a really hard time surviving, and we're going to have a mass extinction event. Now, if we can slow it down long enough to where our technology can now do something about that, then we can survive. And so who knows how much time we need? Maybe we need 10 years, maybe we need 200 years. But it's not debatable to say that putting out CO2 increases the temperature of the Earth. That's not debatable. That's basic science. And so if we can slow down the amount of CO2 we're putting out, and we can do a better job at letting things that trap CO2 continue to trap CO2, then we can slow that rise down until we start getting the technology. And I do think we're going to get the technology. We all know what drives this world, and it's money. And right now, there's no money for scientists in creating ways to slow down climate change. There's no money in it. We need more. We do not need more. Venus has more CO2, and they're the highest average temperature in the solar system, hotter than Mercury. Okay, more CO2 is bad. Um, so that's where we're at. We got to try to walk that line a little bit. And that's what we're trying to do. And hopefully we'll have the technology. Eventually it'll become a part. Because right now, what do scientists get into for the money, right? Pharmaceuticals. That's where it's at. That's where all my friends, when I was a chem major, that's where they were all going, right? They're all getting the pharmaceuticals, go work for all these companies. You're going to make $1 million a year developing drugs that then cost 5 cents to make, and you can sell to people for $1,000 a pill. Like, that's where the money is at. There's no money in CO2. There's no money in any of that right now. I think there will be. And maybe that's in 20 years and maybe that's in 100 years. I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, CO2 increases the temperature. When the temperature gets increased, the water increases. I'm frightened of people like you. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. Um, people get the water starts getting warmer, the water gets warmer, it releases more CO2 and it becomes this positive feedback loop, and then we have a problem. So again, the issue is not that it's not a ebb and flow thing. It is. We are going up right now. The trick is we need to help do what we can to slow that down a little bit to give our science time to not cause a mass extinction event. Hey, what's up, TikTok user?
Yeah, not too much.
You said you got a chat. You wanna talk about something?
Yeah, I saw your prompts, and what I was gonna ask your opinion on the Save Act. What do you mean by the midterm test?
So yeah, so these are just kind of the list I'm going down. So the midterm test, and it's blue because it's a deep dive, meaning I kind of like printed out some info I was going to read. The midterm test, right? We have two midterms coming in March, and then we have two more coming in May that are going to be pretty big tests, especially the two in March for Trump. Um, the issue being his polls, if you ask most people, are not doing well. If you ask him, his polls are fantastic. They're the best polls that have ever happened. He's the greatest president in the history of the world. Most polls don't agree with that. Um, and the only way we can act, because polls are also kind of bullshit, right? Like, polls don't always work. The only way you
Yeah,
can
I mean they're
actually
obviously politically biased, and so
100%.
polls are always going to agree with the candidate who commissions them. So yeah, polls are meaningless. Go on.
So yeah, so the only place we can actually see is where the rubber hits the road, which is on elections. And so on March 3rd, there's two elections, and there's four elections, right? There's the Texas, the Louisiana, the Kentucky, and the Arkansas um, primaries. All and four of those, Trump is really it's really going to show his level of support. So, for instance, in Texas, there's a senator, John Cornyn. Trump is refusing to endorse him. So, what will that mean? We'll have to see. And again, I have have whole stuff here written out. The one I'm really watching, though, that people aren't really talking about is there's a gentleman by the name of French Hill in Arkansas. That's his name, French Hill. Um, he is a Republican through and through. Trump absolutely loves him. The Republican Party loves him. He's a fundraising god. The dude raises money like nobody else for this little known name you've never heard of in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas. Um, he is a crazy fixture. He usually isn't even primaried. He is getting primaried next month. And it's going to be really important because Trump is out campaigning for him. And so it'll be really interesting to see, basically if he gets less than about 50,000 votes or about 60% of the votes in the primary, that's going to be kind of a loss. He usually gets well over 50,000. He usually gets, Trump won Arkansas with 64% of the vote, and he's campaigning for this guy. So what we're looking at, there's a few of these going on, right? Are these midterms where Trump is out campaigning for somebody, and you compare how Trump performed to how that person performed. We saw a few of these already. We saw obviously the Miami mayor, his candidate lost. We've seen a few of these where polls are kind of bullshit. So it's an opportunity to see where is his popularity really at. Because I don't believe anything I see in the polls. I don't think it's valid. So that's kind of what it means by the midterm test, if that makes sense. Is we'll see how much strength he has, because people do whatever he says, because he says, if you piss me off, I'm going to primary you and you're going to lose your job. And so they say, yes, sir, I'll do whatever you say. And so these midterms start coming out and it shows that he doesn't have that power anymore. We might see a little bit of a shift happening.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so I guess, in short, what do you predict happens at the midterms?
So like, for instance, French Hill, French Hill's going to win. I don't think there's a debate on that. But it will be interesting to see by how much.
I mean, kind of like overall, like for instance, the real test is going to be,
I think Trump's going to get beat.
Gain the majority in the Senate and the House.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a rough midterm cycle for the Republican Party.
So you think they lose majority?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah, I would disagree with you there, but I do think it's an interesting take.
Yeah. I don't know if they lose majority. I don't think they gain majority in the Senate. I think they definitely gain majority in the House. I think they gain a lot of seats in the House. The Senate is going to be close.
I think that they probably further their majority in the House and in the Senate. That would be, if I had $1 million and I had to bet, that's what I would bet on.
Awesome. Let's see.
Yeah, well, I mean, the news that's coming out in terms of the SAVE Act, I'm surprised that there's not more Democrats talking about it. It feels like they're kind of avoiding the issue that is going to, I mean, it's not going to come out. It's already really kind of come out. And I haven't seen anyone on the left talk about the issues. I mean, obviously, it would appear as though they are set to federalize the elections. You have the Fulton County Election Board in Georgia raided.
Yeah.
You have the Maricopa County. You have DHS at the Maricopa County building. In order for them to put DHS in Fulton County, a judge has to sign a warrant, meaning the judge has been shown evidence that they believe is credible, and they've instructed the federal authorities to go and storm an election center from an election 5 years ago. So I think that there is a very genuine concern that they could potentially find something problematic in those areas. Mm-hmm. And if they find anything problematic, it is immediately, without question, constitutionally handing the authority to Trump and to the executive to federalize the elections. And my gut tells me that if they do federalize the elections, and if they do put into place voter ID, and they don't even have to pass the SAVE Act in order to do that, because it would be a matter of national security, and constitutionally the head of the executive has the sole authority to attack those issues. So if they require voter ID and federalize the elections, my gut tells me that they're going to further their majority, and it could be even more significant than even I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's scary. That, to me, that's scary, right? I think federalizing elections is against everything the Constitution is trying to say.
Kind of skipping a step there, aren't you?
What do you mean?
you're saying it's scary that the elections are federalized, but you didn't say anything about being afraid that there is a federal judge that is, in their opinion, finds credible evidence of concerning election changing issues in the voting process in two of the places that were essentially the base of the swing states and where the elections would go. I mean, for instance, the Fulton County Election Board already admitted
were these
that they
judges
lost chain of
Trump
custody of
appointees?
315,000 votes.
Were these judges Trump appointees?
Well, we haven't seen a
Were
warrant
these
that I'm
judges
aware
Trump
of.
appointees?
Well,
Right.
it's a federal warrant, so they don't have to show you the warrant, but according to the law, they have to have a warrant. So they don't have to tell you everything.
That's
on
a
what they
big
have,
asterisk, right? Like,
it's not really an asterisk. It's what they did. It's factually, objectively, practically true. It's not up for me to have an opinion on it. It just is what happened.
My opinion is
true. Okay,
my opinion.
Well, I'm willing to throw out the entire Constitution for practically true.
That I don't think they got a warrant. I don't think they got one. I think they've been operating without warrants for a long time. I think they've been breaking down people's doors and ripping people out of their homes without warrants. So I think it was
your way out of that.
Vote my way out of it.
Yeah, is that your suggestion?
Yes, voting and peaceful protesting is my only. That's all I can ever suggest.
Have you watched any of the congressional hearings on what they say their evidence is for the voting irregularities? Have you watched any of the Senate hearings or congressional hearings on this?
Yeah, and to me, it's silliness, right? To me,
it's silliness. So okay, so I'm curious. Like, for instance, the Fulton County, the 315,000 votes. What's silly about that?
I think somebody forgot to sign a form. I think it's all little mistakes.
But do you understand practically what that is, though, or did you just read somewhere that it was a technical error? It has no outcome on the election. Those votes are totally valid. I'm assuming that's what you've read. You do understand that when we're voting in federal elections, there is a legal requirement that chain of custody is held. So, for instance, if one of the ballots, just one of them, it breaks the chain of custody, meaning it's not in the place that it's supposed to be, being signed by the people that it's supposed to be signed by, then you do not have any chain of custody in the votes. And if you do any research you have to let me finish
you're so
before
concerned.
You interrupt.
Because you're so concerned.
So you should let me finish. Just let me finish.
You're rambling, and we know what you're getting to.
Okay. So is this how you do it, host?
My question
is this how you have guests up?
Oh, hold on.
If you're so very concerned about the integrity of elections, then you're very upset
anybody
that
can
Trump
interrupt at any time. We can just do it like that.
You tried.
I'll just finish my thought.
Trump tried to push the faithless electors.
It doesn't matter who interrupts.
You're very upset.
If you break the chain of custody for the votes, then that would
holy cow, guys.
Yes or no?
Valid.
Yes or no?
I couldn't hear you.
Okay, he's reading from a script. He's reading from a fucking script. All right.
So the issue is breaking the
Foundation. Please fucking let us know right now.
Okay. Your point is, if the chain of custody is broken,
in just 5 minutes.
Right. If the chain of custody is broken, then the vote no longer counts. That's your point. Okay. I understand.
Okay.
What
Well, let
saying.
me ask you: if you do not have a chain of custody of the ballots, should those votes count?
So
it's just a yes
how
or
are
no.
the ballots being cast? It's the light. You know, world isn't that
it's just
easy,
a yes
right?
or no.
My ballots. So my ballots are done in pen, right? I'm in the state of Washington. We vote by mail.
Sounds like you're justifying.
I do it in pen.
It just sounds like you're justifying it, and you're not even contending with it.
No, I'm not. I don't think chain of custody is that important if it's done in pen and there's no sign of malfeasance. Like if you just, it falls off a truck. Oh, somebody finds it, picks it up, throws it back in the mail. It was sealed. It was signed. There's no evidence of any irregularities. I don't see a problem with keeping that ballot. That doesn't make a problem to me.
Okay. Well, okay. So it sounds like you kind of are fundamentally misunderstanding what the systems are that are one. I mean, these are the standard practices in every single country, every country in the world that has democratic elections, in fact. So it's really curious to see people from America who are, for instance, in 2016, there are so many people on the left who are concerned with the elections not being secure. And there was a lot of talk about that from the left in 2016. Now we have an election board who's came out and said that they lost the chain of custody for 315,000 votes, which would swing the vote. You have the DHS who are raiding that exact election facility. You have them in Maricopa County. And it seems like now chain of custody and the protection of the ballots and the right of the voters to vote and the elections to be clear and free, it seems like you don't really care about that.
I very much care about that. And
well,
the
you
issue
can't care about that if your
electors.
position
Do you
is
care
that you
about
don't
that?
care about the chain of custody for the ballots.
we're so many years later.
But
There
you
were
can't have fair elections if you have no chain of custody of ballots. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
I'll give that a warm yes. But why did no other appeals and injunctions and lawsuits and anything for the years after the election ever come up with any of this?
Sure. So, I mean, did you actually? Obviously, everybody read the headlines of the cases in 2020
Sure.
shot down by the court. So, did you read into any of those as to why they
What year
shot
is it
them
now?
down?
Just out of curiosity, what year is it now? I have
Can
no
this
idea.
child be
He
removed
thinks
from
it's
the live? Can I have an adult
2016,
conversation
2020?
without this guy? Seriously.
No, I just
No,
the
look,
issue
you
is
and your
so
fucking
many
cyber
lawsuits.
ninjas can go audit
I mean,
my left nut.
dude, it's hard to have a conversation with you when you have this man child below me who just interrupts every time I start talking and just interjecting random bullshit.
Lois, I'd like to interject because this guy's fucking rambling.
Wow,
He's
you'd
been
like to
going at it
interject
for
more
about
bullshit.
half an
I
hour
can't
now.
believe my ears.
Okay, guys, let's try to go one at a time. Here, I mean, I don't think we're going to agree on this TikTok user. I think there were what, hundreds of lawsuits that went by. Every single lawsuit, was thrown out.
Okay,
I think
so do you know why they were thrown out? Did you read any of them?
there's no evidence.
Okay, did you read any of them?
Yes, I've read many of them, but this was
why was the one in
6
Texas
years ago. How
The
could
biggest one.
I cannot.
Why'd it get
I
thrown
cannot
out?
remember every
I thought you read
detail
them.
of
I
every.
thought you knew this. There was no evidence, but the biggest case in 2020 that was all over the news, you just can't remember why it got thrown
I
out.
do not remember articles from 5 years ago. No.
Okay,
I
what
do
happened
not.
to the one in Wisconsin? Do you know what happened with that?
Tell me. Stop asking me and tell me.
Okay, yeah, so this is really easy. So the majority of them got thrown out on standing, which means that the court that they went to did not ever look at any of the evidence because they ruled before even looking at the evidence that they don't have the standing to rule on it. So they basically said, even if you have a case, we are not the proper court to do this. This actually went all the way to the Supreme Court and they ruled the exact same way. The one in Wisconsin, they actually had binders of evidence, but they never actually got to present the evidence. And the reason why they never got to present the evidence is because the court ruled that the election had already happened. And so because there's no timely manner to resolve it, they just simply won't hear the case. So all of the cases that you're talking
And what,
about.
you disagree? You disagree with the court on whether or not the court itself has
Again,
standing?
another interruption from our wonderful guy in the
What are you
bottom.
disagreeing with? What are you disagreeing with?
I am making a
court
point.
itself
It's not a
ruled that
disagreement.
I do
but you
not
don't
have
ears
standing.
or a brain, so you can't understand.
You disagree. Okay. Fucking.
Just let me know when I
We
can
heard
finish
you.
my point. I wish you
Now,
would mute this guy.
do you have an
literally
actual
like an
point, or do you want to
infiltrator,
move
and
on?
it ruins the whole live, to be honest.
No, I get it. I mean, but you
Okay,
you've
so
been
to your
talking
point,
for
you said that there's
the
no
most amount of time.
hang on, you made the claim that there's no evidence, and you insinuated that that's why they didn't get into the courts. So give me only one case. Give me one case where they were able to present their evidence and they ruled on the evidence alone. Just one.
They never got that far because there's such a lack of evidence.
Okay, you can't say that there's no evidence, and then I tell you why the courts said they wouldn't rule on them, I'm telling you the truth. You can look it up. And so if you just want to deny reality and that's your perspective, then you're okay to do that. That's your
Host,
prerogative. But you're
can
not
you mute
living
this
within
guy
the
for
real
a
world.
second?
Yeah.
Because I need to make a point,
Okay.
and he's going to try to interrupt me.
Guy has
Great.
another
All
great
right.
point.
Can you
Can't
mute
wait.
him for a second?
Great. Let's hear from
So
Splats for a second.
his point is, and let me see if I'm following correctly. His point is that they filed a suit claiming election irregularities. The court told them, I don't have standing, right? And their lawyers just said, okay, well, we got that ruling. Time to pack it up and go home, right? And that's somehow our fault
Well,
that
that
they
went to
didn't
the
follow
Supreme
up
Court of the
in a court
United
that does
States.
have standing. What is your point? What is your point?
Yeah, the point is that there are a ton of people who go on these lives and they say that there is, quote, no evidence, and they completely deny the reality that the cases were shot down for standing and that the DHS just raided an election facility for those exact ballots, and a magistrate, a judge, a group of decision makers had to look at evidence, find it credible, and then authorize them to go and get more evidence. So the fact that you say there's no evidence is an objective lie, because they needed evidence and they needed it to be reviewed by a magistrate in order to go to Fulton County and do what they did. So the idea that there's no evidence at all is fundamentally untrue. It's misguided, it's misinformation, and it's sad to see adults in America who have such an opinion on politics and they don't even spend even a minuscule amount of time reading into these things. They just simply read headlines and then they regurgitate that to people who will listen to them.
So many lifelong Republicans who Republican electors have come out and said, there's no evidence. There's no like I'm sorry. If there are 20, 30, 40 lifelong Republican officials that come out and say, yeah, Trump lost, to me, that's worth it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So if the top pharmaceutical companies in the world said that it's totally not addictive to take opioids for painkillers, and they're the experts, right? Does that mean that the opiates are not addicting, or does that mean that the experts can be wrong?
So, but what you're doing
right.
is
Trust
right.
nobody.
What you're saying is the opposite point.
You're making a call to authority. You're basically saying that because other people said this, you're taking them at their word, and you're not willing to look at the evidence yourself and make a decision. You're just taking someone's word.
You're Trump
no, it's
supporter.
very
Your
different.
Your entire life is a call to authority. Trump's authority.
No. Okay. I mean, are you going to remove
here's the thing.
Let me just live finally.
No, here's the thing. When an expert is giving an opinion that is
a politician and expert on election security
that is counterproductive to their own well-being.
Which expert?
The Secretary of State for.
Okay, are those experts in election fraud and election irregularities?
It's their job to be.
It's their job to be election specialists. Is that right?
The people who run the elections for the states should be election experts.
Okay, so why did the Fulton County Board make mistakes if they are, they're supposed to be professionals and they're supposed to follow the laws that they make, so they didn't follow their own laws? And so why are you sitting here defending and saying that there's no evidence when the Fulton County Election Board admitted that they didn't follow their own legal procedure in the 2020 election?
So just hold on. We need to go back a step.
Answer the question. You're trying to pivot, and you won't.
I'm not trying to pivot. I'm trying to answer your question you asked me 2 minutes ago that you're interrupting me and trying to answer now.
Well, your buddy interrupted, actually, not me.
You're asking me about drug companies.
The guy who interrupts everybody.
You're asking me about drug companies. It is in the drug company's best interest to lie to you to get you to take more drugs. It is not in the lifelong Republican Secretary of State of Arizona's best interest to tell you Biden won. Those are vastly two different situations.
Okay, let me ask you this. Yeah, okay, so let me ask you this. If there were an election, okay, and let's say that a team of people
a lot of questions.
Oh, another.
Host,
here we go.
I'd like to get a word in, before he, takes us down a primrose path of 50 fucking questions. This is really simple. All right. One, Trump lost election. Period. I don't give a shit. I don't give a
Dude,
shit
that's a
if it hurt your
great point.
feelings. I don't
That's
give a
so
shit if it
awesome.
hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if Christian Noem and the rest of his goon squad don't like it. Okay. They need to respect the results of an election, which not only ended years ago, but the resulting presidential term that came from the results of that election has also ended. Okay, first, second, there's a big
Okay, so
difference
because
between
it already
evidence.
happened, we
Oh, there's
shouldn't do anything
evidence,
about it. So
evidence
that's your
everywhere,
first point.
evidence,
So
evidence,
because
evidence,
it already
evidence.
happened, we shouldn't do anything
Well, let me
about it.
introduce
That's
you
your
to
first point. So go ahead.
let me introduce you to a very basic term.
Yep.
Let me introduce you to a very basic term. Okay, it's barely a legal term. There's a difference between evidence and credible evidence. If you have evidence, and none of it is credible, guess what? You're not even gonna get to have a case.
So
I'm
why
gonna
did the
throw it
DHS
out
raid Fulton County?
on the merits of the case alone.
Because Trump
Period.
is trying to
Period.
be a
Period.
fascist dictator,
And last but
and
not least,
There it
last
is.
but
It
not
run the
only took
least,
me
country.
about 10 minutes, and now you guys are against the Constitution. You're against all rule of law, right?
No, I
And you're
love
just
the
saying he's a fascist
Constitution.
dictator.
No,
An election
you're
is,
against the
even if the
Constitution.
election maybe had irregularities, we shouldn't even investigate it because it already happened. Do you know how
We should investigate it.
coping and seething the Democrats are over
we
this?
investigated
You know how
the
unpopular this
we
opinion is?
investigated and we convicted. We investigated and we convicted many of the faithless electors, especially in Georgia, right? And I still want to know what happened to the cyber ninjas who were supposed to audit the election records in New Mexico. And I'd really
This guy
like to know
cannot
what
stay
the
on
hell
topic to
Doge is
save his
doing.
life.
And
He's
I'd
just a
very
rambling
much like to know
anti-Trump lunatic.
why DHS is requesting voter rolls from Minnesota as if that has any fucking thing to do.
Yeah, let
with
me
ICE
ask you this
and their
question. Here's
performance,
Spieth.
right?
Hey, answer this.
Talk about election rigging. Look in the fucking mirror.
just never
right?
gonna
You're
stop
not gonna
talking.
fucking see any kind of
You're just never gonna stop, literally.
seeds of doubt, and you're not gonna fucking get us to
Well,
fucking
3 minutes of this guy talking.
validate
Okay.
your myth about
3 minutes
your
of this guy
victimhood
just
because
totally
we
fucking
stole the
rambling.
country from you. You fucking moron.
There we go.
Okay, we're clearly never going to agree on this. Yes, I think we need to investigate, but I do think the Trump administration has a pretty significant history of looking to ignore the Constitution when it's convenient for them. I love the Constitution.
okay.
I think we should follow the Constitution.
Okay.
Um,
Here's an easy question for you. How many adults were on the voter rolls in Wisconsin during the 2020 election?
Tell me.
There was over 7 million. Okay. How many voting age adults are there in the state of Wisconsin?
I can't be many.
Roughly 4 million. So in 2020, they sent out a ballot to every single adult on the voter rolls. So they sent out 7 million ballots to 4 million adults who are allowed to vote. And you're telling me that you don't think there's any issue at all with twice the amount of mail-in ballots being sent out in some states. They're sending out 2 times as many ballots as there are voting age people in the state. And you don't see any issue with that at all.
That's not true.
Are there any military bases
The
there?
Wisconsin
Pull it up.
stuff has been debunked.
Okay, well, so those 2 facts that I just said, so we can Google them right now on your live, and I'll show it on my screen, and then you can tell me that it's not true.
So a lot of people are registered in one state, but they go live in Texas because Texas doesn't tax you as heavily. So basically, you can have a bunch of registered voters in your state that don't even fucking live in your state. Never have, never will. Basically. Now, of course, to abide by the letter of the law, they'll come to their summer home and they'll visit for a few months just to make sure that everything's on the up and up. But the reality is, there's a lot of people who just have properties for tax purposes. and they still get a fucking registration form. You dumbass.
Yeah, the Wisconsin thing is not true, but that's fine. No, you're right. I mean, and based intellectual, there's a lot of people doing a lot of shady stuff. People on, and again, both sides of the aisle. There are Republicans doing it. There are Democrats doing it. There are members of the court doing it. We've seen multiple people, including the president of the United States, who has got a loan for a property to be a primary residence and then not been his primary residence. Right? Trump did that himself. It's unfortunately common. It shouldn't be. I'm not excusing it. It should be a crime. It is a crime, but people do it. And that leads to a lot of this. Voter fraud really doesn't happen in this country. It is minuscule, which is why the SAVE Act is insane, that we're spending this much time and this much money to work on a problem that isn't a problem.
So let me ask you this. So you think it's a bad idea to require ID to vote?
Yes.
Do you think it's a bad idea to require ID for alcohol? Hang on, just yes or no's. I'm just asking you because I want to see your logic.
You're doing a straw man argument. You're trying to.
It's not a straw man. I'm just asking you a question, and you don't want to answer it because it will show that you're being a hypocrite.
I'll answer.
You're living in this childish black and white world.
It's not black and white. Do you think that you should require ID to buy alcohol?
I think you should require ID any time in which there is a consistent problem that needs to be addressed by ID. So are there a bunch of 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds trying to buy alcohol?
If people didn't have to show ID for alcohol, how would you know there's a problem? Because they would just give alcohol to everybody.
You would see drunk 16-year-olds on the streets. You would see kids drinking and driving. The fatalities would go through the roof. That's exactly.
Do you think that you should require ID for cigarettes?
Exactly the same reason. Yes.
Okay. So do you think that you should have to show ID when you go and get a job?
Host, I'm
just asking. Yeah, I mean, you have to show ID for all of these things. You're saying that voting in a federal election, you shouldn't have to show ID, and I'm curious why you feel that way.
I want to point out a few things that
I want to point out that you can't seem to shut the fuck up for more than 3 seconds at a time, and you never stop talking.
The cases of voter fraud, nationwide number in and around 13. Of the 13, half of them were MAGAs, if not more. First,
it's
second,
incredible that this is an adult argument.
The Fourth Amendment says no poll tax. No poll tax. That's what it amounts to. There are people who are extremely poor and can't even afford a passport. Probably, they live in some very small rinky-dink towns. No disrespect.
I mean, this is
that
really
barely
the
have
argument,
a city hall, let alone a passport.
It's a fair argument.
This is a fair argument, really.
Long story short, one, voter fraud does not exist. 13 is negligible.
Voter fraud does not exist.
There will be no poll tax.
It effectively does not exist.
Effectively doesn't exist.
Which you claim to love so much. You claim to love. You claim to love the Constitution until it comes time for the poll tax and the Fourth Amendment. And last but not least, actually,
and another 5-minute rant from the smartest fucking guy I've ever heard in my life.
Republicans at the last minute. At the last minute, the Republicans realized that the SAVE Act was going to disenfranchise mostly Republican voters.
You shut the fuck up,
you idiot! So go ahead,
yeah.
Wipe out all the poor Republicans who can't afford certain documents. Go right ahead. See what the fuck happens. Yeah. You're already going to lose.
That's what's going to happen.
But
that's what's going to happen.
Be catastrophic. Okay. So keep pushing your bigotry.
Got it. Yeah, and I just want to point out, I mean, anytime that I have a conversation with people on the left, typically I don't like to insult people, but the guy below me called me a fucking moron earlier, so it kind of opened that up. But I just wanted to point out, it's every single live on the left without fail. They will insult you and they'll call you a fucking moron before actually engaging in any of the substance of what you're saying. And it's partially because I don't think that you guys are able to intellectually contend with the
Is
idea.
it to justify your bullshit?
But I also think that
You're a bigot. You're a bigot. You got your own bullshit regardless of when
you know
whether
that
or
they're
not somebody
wrong,
calls
but
you
you
a
don't
name.
care because
And you're
so
such a
dug
victim
in,
that you're trying to
that it doesn't really
disenfranchise
change it.
voters.
All right,
Such a victim.
let's stop with all this stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. There's no evidence that voter fraud really exists. It's effectively zero. I actually made a video that more people are arrested for bestiality in a year than voter fraud. So which is crazy because Trump is so worried about everybody eating the cats and eating the dogs, but he doesn't care when you're fucking them, apparently. So why don't we spend all this time and all this effort, putting in laws about bestiality, right? Well, because it's not a dog whistle, no pun intended, right? The SAVE Act is a dog whistle. That's what it is. And it is going to screw the Republican Party, which is why Trump had to rail at the Republican Party for months to get them to vote on it. Why did Mike Johnson take so long to get it to vote on it? Because he knows it's going to screw the Republicans, because the Republicans are the ones that don't have the documents. They can't afford the documents. They don't have passports. So do it. I made a video on this. Democrats, stop fighting it. Do it. Pass the SAVE Act. We'll see what happens. But we all know what's going to happen. So great. Okay, cool. Do you mind if I blow you up a little? I'm going to make this bigger so we can see. All right. So what do we got here? Can you tell me what I'm seeing here?
These are all the convictions that have to do with voter fraud by state.
Okay. And over how many years? Because I'll tell you right now, this is many, many years.
Well, it says the years in them. So this goes back. There's a 2002 one. There's a 2013 one. This is just Alabama, by the way.
Yeah, those are paragraphs. Those are paragraphs for one instance
2000.
over many years. So since you don't speak Spanish, that
hang on.
means
It's 381 pages long. So this is the 2012, 2000, 2002, 2004.
So we're 20 some years ago, right? Like
here's
2012,
2012,
2004,
2010, 2010.
Can you?
21 years ago, this guy is still butthurt.
It's effectively.
Can you filter
And
to
he was a
2025?
MAGA, I bet.
Can you filter to 2025?
Here's 2016.
10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's 381 pages, so we'll scroll through these and we'll see if we can find anything recent. Here's 2007.
There's got to be a filter, right? You have to have a filter.
165 days in the year.
Right.
He's pulling up stuff from 21 years ago. That means less than one a year, if that. And how many were MAGAs? How many voted for the Republicans
Well, I don't even
who
care.
were doing this shit?
I don't even care who
A
it
majority.
was. I don't care about party. If you're committing voter fraud, you should go to prison. Which is crazy because right now Trump is trying to pardon a woman who committed voter fraud, and they won't let him.
We're only to see too. I mean, this is just California. I don't even think that.
But you're going back 25 years. You're going back 25 years.
2017, 2016, 2013, 2016 primary. Let's keep going. 2010, 2008, 2009, 2012.
Hold on. I'm going to hop in my time machine so I can go to 2013 to give a fuck.
Well, I mean, you guys said it's effectively not a real thing.
It is effectively not a real thing. If you
why
can
is there a
find
381 page document?
0.00001%. 0.00001%.
Based intellectual. If you
Not
think
even
there are
8%.
20 to 40,000 fraudulent votes per election cycle, I would love to see that data because it doesn't exist. If you're interested, there's a group called the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is a far right wing group aligned with Trump that tracks all of this. You can go to their website and you find. We're talking 10 to 15 times a year.
I'm looking at literally a giant list of specific cases. So why would I need to go anywhere else when these are legitimate convictions?
They're 25 years old.
Includes stuff from 2004.
Some of them are older, some of them are newer, right? We've kind of been over that. I know you guys want to keep saying the same thing, even though
He
we've
told you what to
already
do.
proven
He
that that's
told you
not
what
true.
to do. You don't believe the Heritage Foundation? You don't believe them? You don't
Hey,
believe them now.
based
Go to their
intellectual,
website. Stop
where
wasting our fucking time.
data.
Here's an
Come
interesting
back
one right
when
here.
you grow a
Here,
brain.
read this. Read that out loud.
I can't see. It's tiny.
Carlton Vines and his accomplices ran an absentee ballot fraud operation designed to rig the 2006 election in which Vines won election as a state court judge. It's weird. So they used absentee ballots to rig the election. Oh, here's another one. 2007, commit absentee ballot fraud. That's interesting. 2004,
Yeah.
Illegal aliens cast absentee ballot
Diary entries.
in County
Today,
versus
Trump
2004.
looked into the camera, and I could swear he was looking right at me. My heart started fluttering, and I had to come to my journal and share this with you.
Yep. So we've got even more
Is that about accurate?
mainly absentee ballots, mail-in ballots, voting twice, 2008, 2004, 2013. So here's another
Any
one.
other crime, and you would not have to go back 25 years to find a few hundred pages of examples. That's the thing. Like this is not an issue. If anybody does it, send them to prison. Unlike the woman that Trump is trying to pardon for doing this, because she was trying to do it for him. You know, but other than that, it's not actually zero. It's effectively zero, right? This is something that happens 1 in every million votes, 1 in every 500,000 votes. It's just not an issue that we should be. But again, do it. Pass the SAVE Act. Do it and see what happens. I'll tell you what happens. Georgia is blue. The Carolinas are blue. Like you're the voter turnout in states like Missouri and Arkansas and Mississippi are going to plummet. That's what's going to happen. Great. See, we'll see what happens. Nevada is blue. There's no more Michigan, Iowa, Ohio. They're not purple anymore. Right. This is what's going to happen. Do it. Fine. Whatever. Do it. We'll see I don't care anymore. But it's a non-issue. It's a stupid thing for Congress to spend their time on.
It's a dog whistle, though.
So basically,
it's a dog whistle.
The racists can talk about it without admitting that they're racist.
Well, he just called me racist.
That's convenient.
Yeah, why
no, the SAVE Act is a dog whistle. The SAVE Act is a dog whistle.
Too.
Really? It's a dog whistle? What's the dog whistle about it?
It's saying we don't want brown people to vote.
How does it say that? Explain it. Yeah, you have to explain the things that you say. I know that's a tough
but the issue is you won't concede the thought that it's not a real issue. 13-ish, 10 to 15 people a year do this. There is zero evidence. Somebody in the chat keeps saying there's 20 to 40,000. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that there's that many votes. That's just there's nothing. So if this is not an issue, it's not an issue. You're right. You're absolutely right. So maybe it's 10 times that. Maybe it's between 100 and 150 people doing this a year. 100 to 150 people when you're still casting millions of ballots a year is effectively zero, right? So if this is a
what was the margin of error in Georgia
within the election?
Yeah, in 2020, how many votes did he lose Georgia by?
Oh my God, we're still obsessed about 20. Yes, if there was
you're just saying that it happens rarely and not in large numbers. But I'm just making the case that if the election was won by, let's say, 300 votes, then you don't have to have millions of fraudulent votes. You could only have 500 and win. It would swing the election.
500 all in one state.
Yes.
Host, here. He's trying to fucking slow walk us, but he's actually blind, so he's gonna walk us into a goddamn
lamppost. This guy who called me a moron, a racist.
This is the thing. He was talking about how
worried about it.
How it's the executives. He was trying to talk to us about how it's the executives' prerogative to protect us from ourselves.
You can't have a conversation with people like this. It's like talking to a disabled person.
If you can promote the myth, if you can promote the lie that there are, criminal illegal aliens who are voting en masse to rig our election. If you can promote that myth, if you can promote that lie like he's trying to, then Trump can say, well, as your protector and king, let me go send the military to the fucking voting to the polling stations, and
this is the
that
best
way
you
we
got,
can make
dude.
absolutely sure that the votes aren't rigged. Even though I myself tried to do that in Georgia and in Michigan and God knows where else, New Mexico.
Caught on
So
the phone.
yeah, that's the point. He's like, can we get them to agree? Can we get them to agree to us rigging it for them, against them?
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see, but
I was really hoping that guy could continue that 5-minute rant and make it like a 20-minute rant. Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest, big guy?
I got you to stutter. That's nice.
Okay,
Did you the aneurysm?
No,
pop?
seriously, let
Good
him
for
go.
you.
He seriously needs to get this out.
Okay,
Don't
so
get
then
him.
let's move on. Let's move on because
I don't think you can really move
mess.
on. I mean, he just interrupts everything, so you should just let him get it out, and then maybe the adults can talk.
No, I think I'm letting you both
You're
interrupt
a
each
traitor.
other
You hate the
a bunch.
Constitution.
I'm interrupting him. Is that how that works?
I think we're all talking over each other. Yes.
You're an absolute traitor. You don't believe in the Constitution. You don't. You don't believe in voting. You don't believe in fair elections. You want to rig shit because you know that your punk asses are going to lose handily. And you're afraid. And you should be afraid because guys like you belong in jail. Keep trying to fuck with democracy, and democracy is going to fuck with you back.
Like, really?
That's a hot take.
Is that a hot take, really?
I don't want anyone, going to prison for their opinions. I would love people going to prison for crimes. So we're not gonna agree on the election thing because I think we're all in disagreement on what facts are. I would, since I have you, and I think you have some interesting opinions that differ from mine. I would love to talk about the e-file transparency situation. And the fact that there are still a bunch of redacted or missing files. The DOJ has said, "Nah, we're good. We've released 3.5 million, even though there's about 6 million. We're not going to release the rest, and everything's hunky dory. It's time to move on." Whereas other countries, right, like France, like Poland, they're actually holding people accountable, and people are losing their jobs. People are starting to do investigations. They're asking for files in order to do those investigations. And the DOJ is saying, no, we're done with this. We're moving on. We don't want anything to do with this anymore. Even though we did pass a law saying that they have to release all the files. So to me, that's an issue. Does anybody disagree that that's an issue, that they can just say, no, we're not going to release them all?
No, I think they should be unredacted.
100% unredacted for everyone? Because I don't want to see some of that stuff. I'll be honest with you.
No, 100% unredacted. I don't know why anybody would at this point be advocating for redactions on any of it. That just seems fundamentally inhumane.
Okay, so
you just said that you think some of them should be redacted. So do you think that some people who have done these terrible things to children, you think for some reason they shouldn't be exposed?
No, I don't think we should be putting up child sex abuse material of 9-year-olds who are being gang raped on camera. I don't think that those victims should be re-victimized. That's what I think should
Got
be.
it. So even if it holds the people who have done that accountable, you just don't think that that's worth the time?
No, I think you can put a little black box over a little girl, and you can keep faces and images of the men involved unredacted. Absolutely. I also think if we had a Department of Justice that was looking at these unredacted, and they saw men being, abusing young children, that they could go ahead and do that on their own. I don't think I need to do that, right? There's a whole problem that I am having to go through that. And by me, I mean just regular people, not necessarily me, but like regular people are having to go through these files and find criminality, right? The DOJ has had these files for a decade, if not longer. And that's the problem, that Epstein and Maxwell were the only people that ever were investigated, even though there is a long history of other people being accused of these things and it just being swept under the rug. This isn't a Trump thing. This isn't a Biden thing. This is a Trump thing, a Biden thing, a Bush thing, an Obama thing. This is a systemic failure of our system, and every single person in there. I don't care if it's Clinton. I don't care if it's
Sure.
Trump.
I mean, have you read the files? Do you understand the gist of why all of that is occurring, or do you just think it's completely random?
Oh, I don't want to think about the hours I spent reading through the files.
Sure. So what do you think is the simple explanation as to what Epstein was doing?
He was blackmailing people.
Sure. And who did he work with?
Everyone.
Okay. Who was his main person that he worked with? What country, actually?
Are we going to get anti-Semitic here? Is that what we're trying to do?
Is him being in the files talking to the ex-prime minister of Israel about being Mossad, is that anti-Semitic, or is that just an objective fact of the world?
No, I mean, he had a lot to do with a couple Israelis. He had a lot to do with Lex Wessner. She, like, what do you mean? What do you want to know? Like, who her dad was?
Who's her dad?
Yeah, her dad's a crook. Her dad's a criminal. I think she.
Okay, where does he come from? Who is he a crook with?
You talking about Israel?
Ghislaine Maxwell. Who is her dad?
I don't remember his name. Yeah, the rich Maxwell guy. I don't remember his first name.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about him.
I don't know his life story.
I believe he was a registered
Well, you
agent.
just said you spent so much time reading the files.
Yeah, the files.
Blackmail.
He's not in the files.
So okay, so who's doing the blackmailing? Right? Who's collecting the blackmail?
Epstein.
For who?
Himself, to make himself rich. He went from being a math teacher to a billionaire by blackmailing people.
Okay. And who is okay? And Ghislaine Maxwell is his right-hand person. So, I mean, obviously, you don't become connected with the presidents of different countries unless you're very well connected politically. So, who's Ghislaine Maxwell's dad?
We've been over this. He was the dude that was. I think he was a Russian agent or something.
You think he was a Russian agent? Is that what you're saying?
I think he had something to do with Russia. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert.
Okay,
in
but
who
you don't
his
know
dad
too
is.
much about what he did, so you're not really that sure about who he is or what he did.
Correct. I never claimed to be.
Okay, so I'm on the Wikipedia for her father right now. Okay. The 1948 war. A hint of Maxwell's service to Israel was provided by John Loftus and Mark Ahrens, who described Maxwell's contacts with Czechoslovakian communist leaders in 1948 as, quote, crucial to the Czechoslovakian decision to arm Israel in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Maxwell is alleged to have distributed a bugged version of software Promise to a plethora of national governments and global financial institutions that enabled mass spying by the government of Israel. So he was a spy who worked for Israel, is who he was. So that's not anti-Semitic. That's just the factual information. You can find it on Wikipedia. You can find it just about anywhere. So, host, is that anti-Semitic for me to say that?
No, not at all.
Why did you insinuate that it would be anti-Semitic when I asked you in the first thing who he was involved with?
Because a lot of times these go real anti-Semitic real fast.
But why did you assume that, given the fact
I didn't
that
assume that. I didn't say you're an anti-Semite.
It's not anti-Semitic.
Why are we getting so off track? Like, why are we spending 10 minutes talking about this guy that died 40 years ago?
Is why. So you basically insinuated and insulted me, and now I'm confronting you for doing that, and now you're running and pivoting away like a child.
Okay.
Again with a child.
I'm not. All right, guys.
Okay.
I actually.
Oh, you gotta go. You gotta hop off.
Yeah, I do. My wife is texting me, and it's time for us to get going to dinner here. Yeah. So yeah, I wish we got to everything. We didn't get to
Well,
everything I wanted to talk
host,
about.
I hope you have a good evening. I appreciate you
Yeah.
bringing me up. I've got this guy blocked from another live because he has bad habits and he's not going to break any of them.
Hey, I
Wow,
hope
you're a total
everybody.
hero, man.
I
Stopping me
hope
from going on
everybody has
TikTok live.
peace.
Total fucking
Everybody
idiot.
has peace and love, and
Yeah,
everybody.
cope and seethe harder.
I don't even know what that means, but okay, guys. Hey, I really appreciate it. I'll talk to all you guys later. Thanks for checking out. Hopefully next time we can get through everything. That guy just had a lot of things to say, some of which were interesting and some of which were a little crazy. So everybody, I appreciate it. I'm gonna head out. So thank you guys all for stopping by.